All right, good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for September 18th. Apologize for the late start. Can we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Fitz?
Here.
Mr.
Rocco?
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Yes, I will be here.
Mr. Clark, can we have a summary of the executive session, please?
Yes, Mr. Harvey, the board held an executive session prior to this meeting where it discussed several matters of potential litigation and various personnel matters.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to start with a public comment. We have a couple, well, one name on the resident sheet and one name on the non-resident sheet. William, is it Stevens or Steffens?
Bill Stevens, 332 Thornridge Drive. I just have a couple of ideas, so I'll run past you and ask you about New Falls Road. Is that township or state?
State.
Okay, I'm kind of new to Falls Township.
Okay.
You might know the guy's name, Paul Zuback. He was active in Falls Township.
Paul
Zuback? Yeah, township government for many years.
Zuback sounds familiar. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, a gentleman was killed recently crossing to JoJo's Ice Cream.
Right.
I moved to Levittown from North Wales Borough, and we had signs in North Wales Borough. There were regular crossing signs, but they had built-in solar-powered LED flashers that you could hit a button, and it would flash to warn the traffic that there was someone ready to cross.
Okay.
Okay, there was another accident recently at Vermilion Drive and New Falls. I live right behind that at 332 Thornridge. I was thinking, I know you guys have a better connection to the state than I do, that's why I figured I'd bring it to you guys first. It looks like there's enough room to add a left turn lane there for both directions.
On New Falls, you mean?
On New Falls.
That would have to be a state project. That's not something we could do. I mean, we could certainly raise it with PennDOT.
So I was thinking you guys have better connection with PennDOT
yeah.
than I do.
We have pretty, periodic sort of meetings with PennDOT to talk about stuff, things in the township. We can certainly raise that. I'll be very honest with you.
All right.
That's not something I would expect them to really look at very seriously.
Okay.
And I'm not. It's a good idea. But just knowing some of the other projects we've had, we've got a major project at Oxford Valley Road that we've been waiting for 12 years
border of
for them
Middletown,
to,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
12, for them to do something about, and it's
Okay. I figured
So
this
waiting.
was...
Tyburn and Trenton Road and Tyburn and New Falls, they still haven't fixed those roads there.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we
yikes.
raise issues, but the pedestrian things I think is definitely interesting. We can have our traffic engineer look at that.
And there's also, I've noticed a lot of no turn on red signs in Falls Township where there's plenty of cleared sight distance that apparently they're not really necessary. I just
Okay.
figured, especially all four corners of Hood and Olds.
That's a schools right there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
problem. Might just
Yeah,
be
that's
that's a
PennDOT
state
as
road,
well,
too.
and that's
Yeah,
really
it's
hard to
PennDOT,
get
but-
them to change that. We had tried to get them to do some work down by the senior center.
Okay.
And they weren't budging with speed limits or anything. They wouldn't,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they said no, they've done studies, they did studies and said,
Yeah, I was surprised you have 40 miles an hour on Hood right past the school.
yeah.
I figured
Yeah.
that'd be 35 through there.
No, yeah.
Okay, well, allow me to yield. We have a long agenda tonight. Thanks for your help.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it. All right, that's the only resident sign-in sheets. Mr. Stevens, any other residents? Okay. The non-resident sheet, Lise Baxter.
Hi.
Hello.
Lisa Baxter, 208 Arborley Avenue, Mooresville. I'm not sure if I can pull this out of here.
You can pull it out if it's
You
easier.
can move it up a little bit, or yeah, you can. The other one works
Probably
too. You
gonna
can use the
make
other one
it-
if you want.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm going to read because I have a little bit to say and I don't want to be long-winded. So I'm here to ask for your help concerning the failing air quality in Lower Bucks County and Falls. We are extremely concerned about the severe pollution and clustering of waste facilities in our community. Falls Township, Bucks County has become a sacrifice zone for the multi-state region and its residents' disposable masses. Our community is home to 4 landfills, one of them the largest in Pennsylvania, a trash incinerator, a contaminated soil burner, and numerous other polluting industries, including a massive cogeneration plant. In addition, there are plans for the multi-state regional Covanta ash recycling plant and their Elcon recycling hazardous waste facility, which will include an incinerator and on-site toxic waste storage within the 500-year floodplain. Excuse me. Elcon plans to raise the facility, but the flood maps are old and water levels have risen. In the wake of all the local flooding and the devastation from, excuse me, from Florence south of us, it's clearer than ever that a hazardous waste treatment plant near a major water source like the Delaware River that has such a history of flooding is not a wise choice. Our area fails current air quality standards, according to both the American Lung Association and the EPA. We have the second worst air quality in the state of Pennsylvania, after the city of Philadelphia. We're also one of the only 2 counties in Pennsylvania with increasing childhood cancer rates, according to the CDC. This pollution does not just affect Lower Bucks County and Falls. New Jersey is right across the river and downwind. If you draw a 3-mile radius around this area, it's 50% minority, with 34% of the citizens living below the poverty line, according to the EPA. Due to divisions by multiple census tracts, the area is not, however, designated an environmental justice area, which would be under different regulations. We should be working to improve the current conditions and bring the air quality up to at least the minimum national clean air standards. We need to bring in green jobs and green businesses, not businesses that will add to our already severe pollution problem. Families live here, raise their kids, drink the water, and breathe the air. We are right on the Delaware River, the source of drinking water for millions of people on both sides of the river. Over 10,000 kids go to school within less than 4 miles of this pollution. On May 18th, 1971, Pennsylvania's voters, by a 4-to-1 margin, ratified what is now Article 1, Section 27 of our state constitution, the Environmental Rights Amendment. The people have a right to clean air, pure water, and to the preservation of the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values of the environment. Pennsylvania's public natural resources are the common property of all the people, including generations yet to come. As trustee of these resources, the Commonwealth shall conserve and maintain them for the benefit of all the people. We are willing to help as much as we can, but you guys are the leaders, and especially the leaders in Falls Township. So we're asking for your help to take leadership on this issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have some of the data sheets to go with the statistics.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yes, we're now, obviously, we're
I can pass them down if you want.
conscious of the fact that Elcon is sort of been back in the news because their Phase 2 review has begun. It took them quite a while just to be able to get to the point where DEP could.
I got just 2 separate things.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure.
That goes that way.
This is all the same.
I need one of those. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
As of the beginning of that review process, which is expected to take several months, we don't have any plans in front of us in terms of Elcon. So obviously we don't know precisely what DEP will do. DEP is doing their job in terms of looking over all the data, looking at the impact Elcon will have on air quality, looking at the impact Elcon could potentially have on water quality, looking at the floodplain issues and all the other things. Certainly their review is going to be on that environmental level. When it comes to us, obviously we have our say over, if it comes to us, we will have our say on whether or not to it's proper for that area. But as of right now, we don't have anything to review. We have no plans. We know what it is. Obviously, we're obviously conscious of what the company is. But we're gonna see what happens with the review process. But
Yeah, we feel like this issue is bigger than Elcon. I mean, obviously Elcon is.
well, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but I'm touching on this.
Yeah.
Very conscious of everything. And
No, but, I mean, very much think that Elcon does not belong here.
Yeah, I know. I can
But
tell.
still, yeah. I just
Yeah.
want to
No,
give
I understand. Yeah.
I just want to give the rest of the picture as
Right.
well.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, any other non-residents? Okay. All right, we're going to move to item number 2 on our agenda, which is the Outback Steakhouse, preliminary and final land development. This is for 650 Commerce Boulevard. Mr. Gray.
Yes, the applicant is proposing to demolish an existing building and to construct a new 6,620 square foot building to house a restaurant with adjacent parking on the site. Representing the applicant tonight is Mr. Tom Hecker.
Members of the
Hecker,
board,
how
good
are you?
evening. Tom Hecker on behalf of the applicant. With me is Brian Conlon, who is our engineer from Langen Engineering Associates. Fairly simple, straightforward application, as noted by Mr. Gray. The project proposes to raise and demolish the existing country buffet building, which has been vacant for a while, and replace it with a smaller restaurant, which is Outback Steak. Smaller restaurant and less parking requirements for it. Brian has the plan. He'll give you a brief overview of the plan, and then we can get into the resolution.
Do you want me to set another one up?
One that way, one this way.
You want the other side or
The first, that side's fine for now. I'm just gonna. Good evening, everyone. Brian Conlon with Langen Engineering. And just a quick overview, as Mr. Hecker said, and showing you in our drawing pack our master site plan, just to orient everyone, even though I know the site is right across the street. But the area in question is the Old Country Buffet that's vacant, and it's pretty much in the northwest corner of the site, right next to the Best Buy. And then if you want to flip that one. And then just to kind of show you the project area, which is on our drawing CS 101, the site construction plan. Basically, it shows the proposed building, which is in the exact location of the existing building. And just some numbers, we're knocking down about a 10,417 square foot building, and the proposed Outback is 6,620 square feet. So the reduction in square feet is about just under 3,800 square feet. And the parking spaces were actually less 5 parking spaces, but we're increasing our ratio of parking spaces from 5.1 to 5.13 because of the reduction in square footage. Very simple. Everything is pretty much within the pad site. We will be redoing the curb, and there'll be some very minor regrading in the parking aisles, but for the most part, it's staying where it is. No new drives or anything like that. It's basically within the building footprint today. All utilities and drainage are there that we'll be connecting into, and then we're enhancing the site, of course, with some landscaping, and that's really it from the design standpoint.
Brian, there are, I think, 2 waivers and a partial waiver request. Would you just highlight those for the board, please?
Yeah, we had three waivers, the partial one. One, the parking space size, which is 10 by 20 required. We're 10 by 19, and that's matching what's existing. In fact, the existing spaces are actually 9 by 19, so we're increasing the width for these new spaces just around the perimeter of the building to 10 by 19. There is a 1 curb radius where the requirement is a radius of 5 feet, and we have one that's a radius of 3 foot right near our trash enclosure. And then the other one is about 200-foot adjacent information near the site that we're requesting the partial waiver from.
Fairly standard request that we brought before this board previously. So they're the brief waivers that we're requesting. The items, the open items that are set forth in the resolution are will comply items. The conditions set forth in the resolution are acceptable to the applicant, because I don't think there's really any further engineering to do other than some additional information. We've asked for preliminary and final approval. So any questions, we're happy to try to answer them.
Okay. Thank you. Board questions, Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
No engineering questions.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, just from a restaurant standpoint, how many seats? Is it your normal size restaurant? Like, just a little bit about.
Yes.
There's 240 proposed seats, and just a note too, the Old Country Buffet from our research had about 368, so a significant reduction in seats as well from the restaurant.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, their standard, the Outback standard, or, plus or minus.
Got it.
And they will serve the blooming onion, so.
Do you have anyone from, did you even bring one with you, though?
Did not bring one.
Anyone from Outback here tonight?
Unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight, but he's been with us at the other meetings. But
He's back in Australia.
Florida, actually.
No.
we'll make sure there's one shipped for you there, so, as long as you share it.
No, I didn't have any other questions.
I was excited, but I'm a little disappointed. There's nobody with an Australian accent, and there's no blooming onions or steak.
Yeah, in case you hadn't realized or guessed this, there are a few members of the board up here who like steak. And so I think not having samples might hurt this project a little bit.
I'll try to remember that.
Mr. Hecker, what's the time frame on if you get approval tonight? What are you looking at?
Do you have a handle on that?
I think
Yep,
they
go
want
ahead.
to, they're working on their building plans, I know that, and I think they want to start construction. They might get this year, but more likely this spring.
Yeah, and what's the construction period? A few months?
That
4 or 5?
I don't know, but I would guess, probably 5-6 months total build out.
Okay.
I mean, 3 months for there's some site prep, yeah. And there's some demo involved too.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Any other
Looks good.
questions? What about EDUs? Obviously, the Old Country Buffet had EDUs. Have you checked into the sewer and?
Yeah,
Connections and-
that stays with the property, so we should be in good shape.
I wasn't sure if it was because it was vacant for so long, if you had to reapply for anything. No.
We have put a package, we've coordinated with RVE, I believe, right, as the sewer engineer, and we
Right.
put a package together to DEP requesting a planning waiver when we had supporting documents showing that we anticipate the flows being less. We haven't received their confirmation yet, though, but that is in process.
Okay. All right. And there's some outdoor seating or?
No.
No, okay. All
No,
right.
there's
Patio. All
there's
right.
a concrete patio area, which is really a waiting area, because they don't have a lot of waiting room inside the store
Right.
itself.
Right. All right. Mr. Sullivan, anything from you?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment or questions? See none? Okay. So we would be looking at preliminary and final. This would be Resolution 18-15. If there are no more comments or questions from the board, is there a motion to approve Resolution 18-15, preliminary and final land development for the Outback Steakhouse?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
All right, next is
Mr. Hecker.
preliminary and final land development for Patient First. This is at 100 Lincoln Highway. Mr. Gray?
Yes, Patient First's proposed project consists of demolition of an existing structure and construction of a 7,151 square foot building and associated parking, utilities and stormwater management as well. Representing the applicant tonight is Mr. Nick Rakowski.
So I'm Bill Roundtree, the developer on the project. Nick Rakowski is here as our engineer in support if you had any technical questions for Nick. So as was stated, we're here for the demolition of the existing McDonald's gas station at the corner of Oxford Valley and Lincoln Highway. Our proposal is to build a new Patient First with 37 parking spaces, new stormwater management facilities, and landscaping. We received a handful of variances at the zoning hearing board a month or two ago. We also have a few waivers we're requesting, and they're outlined in the draft resolution that's before you. Not sure if you'd like us to walk through the use or walk through the waiver requests at this point.
Well, yeah, if you just don't mind going through the waivers, just give us an idea what you're focused on there, please.
Sure, and if you want us to point to specific areas on the plan, I'll pull up Mr. Rakowski. The first waiver is the separation between parking and the existing curb line. The next waiver is the parking stall dimensions, 9 by 18 versus the 10 by 20. The third is curb radius of 5 feet or less than that in one area. a waiver that requires shade trees. We can speak to that. I believe we're providing the quantity, just not the exact locations due to conflicts along the road. The next waiver is related to that. With landscaping, again, we're providing the number, the quantity, just in different locations. Waiver that the limit of construction can't be within 5 feet of the property line. We need to get a little closer to that to do our grading. And last is a waiver regarding the amount of information you have to provide off-site. We're tightening that up, and I believe we provided adequate information.
All right, so can you give us a little bit of an idea? You know, obviously, patient first is sort of obviously a medical center in a small scale, urgent care. Give us an idea of operating times, hours, staff you have, what the expectation is in terms of people coming in and out, how many patients can be handled, what kind of situations, things like that.
Sure. So first, I'll just take a quick second. I'm with Wright Partners. We're the developer.
Mm-hmm.
We're the exclusive developer for Patient First in this region. We've done 15. Hopefully, this will be our 16th in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. Patient First is a neighborhood medical center. It's a 12-bed facility. It's urgent care, but also primary care. It takes the stream out of the emergency room, so it deals more with the strains and sprains, belly aches, that sort of thing. They have x-rays on site. They have minor blood work with a lab on site, also prescription available, only for patients in the facility, prescribed medication from the doctors in the facility, not a pharmacy you can walk into to fill a prescription. We'll have an initial opening period where most facilities see maybe 60 patients a day. Ultimately, we'd like to get to the 120 or so a day. We're open 8 to 10 every day throughout the year. So those patients spread over those many hours results in pretty low impact traffic-wise, which was good for this site. It needed a reduction in that traffic output.
Mm-hmm.
So our peak traffic impact is about 14 patients coming in our peak hour. So that's pretty minor, especially compared to the previous use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
I'm just glad to see something being done with that property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Nance?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, I had one question. If you're looking at the highway there, if you're coming, I guess I'll say south, can you make a left into your, or there's a strip there, right? There's a median?
That's only northbound, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
It is entrance only on Oxford.
Yeah, got it. No, I agree. I'm glad to see something going in.
It's where you would probably visit after eating the bloomin' onions that Mr. Hecker is going to be providing.
Nice.
And sesame. I'm sure you get a lot of sesame traffic there.
Yeah. Yeah, sunburns and things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
sprains and belly aches, stuff
Yep.
like that. So,
Yep.
no, looks good.
Okay. Mr. Sullivan?
No questions or comments. Thank you, Mr.
Okay. Yeah, and you did reference the traffic impact assessment, which the Township has a copy of, all board members have a copy of, and it is pretty negligible. It's obviously a very, very busy intersection, so it's a concern about adding too much traffic. But as you said, in terms of the research that was done and the study that was done, it's really a pretty small amount of additional traffic, especially, as you said, considering that it was McDonald's and a gas station before. There was, the only thing I had, there is the fire marshal's letter from September 4th, where he talks and makes a couple different points. I don't know if you have a copy of this or not. You're welcome to have this if you have, unless you have
Yep,
it.
I'll let Mr. Rakowski address that.
Yeah, he makes a reference really to the turning radius of the fire apparatus. That was one of the things.
Correct. And when we resubmit the plans to address that, we'll show that the fire truck can move and access the site adequately. I think the second comment related more to
sprinklers,
building-related permitting plans.
Right. So, okay. Yeah, I know the fire marshal likes to be able to get all the way around the building, and clearly you can with the other parking lot, behind it. So that was something I was looking at too. So, okay. All right. Any public comment or questions? Okay. All right. So if there are no more board comments or questions, we're looking at Resolution 18-16, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. And this, again, would be for preliminary and final land development for Patient First, which is really in the corner of Oxford Valley Road and Lincoln Highway, sort of across from the Pep Boys, and what's going to be the giant M sign for Middletown. So is there a motion in favor?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Good luck.
Look forward to being here.
Yep. Thank you for coming. Okay, item number 4 is consider agreement with Capital Health for ambulance services. Falls Township is, or was, served by 2 separate ambulance companies. Approximately 88% of Falls Township was served by the Levittown Feral Seals Rescue Squad. And the remaining 12%, sort of bordering Marsville Borough, was served by the Marsville Ambulance Company. The Marsville Ambulance Company has...
You left something? Oh, that was somebody else's.
Yeah. Has fallen on... Yes, there's a... sorry, there's a file here. Good catch. Marsville Ambulance Company has run into some serious financial issues, and they're going to be closing. Marsville Ambulance obviously serves all of Marsville Borough, and again, about 12% of Falls. And so the question became, who's going to cover that 12% that Marsville doesn't cover anymore? And in speaking with the manager at Marsville Borough over the last couple of months, we've found out that they were in contact with Capital Health from over in Trenton and the ambulance service they run. And I think you've already entered into an agreement with Marsville Borough. And so we have obviously a representative here from the Capital Health system who's going to talk to us a little bit about the services they're going to provide, and then the board will consider an agreement with Capital Health at this time.
Very good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Bouzan. I'm the Divisional Director for Emergency Medical Services, Capital Health. Kind of been doing this my whole life. I've been in EMS since my second job, so I've been doing it since about 18, over 40 years. I've worked as a manager for over 25 years. I've been with Capital Health all that time. The issue that we're talking about is it's not unheard of, and I've done this 5 different times, and that's that a municipality changes who is providing the EMS service. We did this with multiple services in Mercer County during my career. We actually submitted a bid to do this in Upper Makefield a couple of years ago as well. So Capital Health sees us as a community service, and they want me to go out and say, you know, if somebody's looking for the service, we provide it to offer it. The biggest concern people have is that you're going to steal all their patients and go run into Capital. And that's the biggest thing that I want to address with everybody, is that we have a very strict policy that you take patients where they want to go. There are regulations that talk about why a patient needs to go to certain hospitals, i.e. you would not take a woman about to have a baby to a hospital that does not offer obstetrics. You have to be able to talk her into going to a hospital that can provide the service. That would hold true with a trauma patient. You want to take a patient who is critically ill from a trauma injury to a trauma center. There are a few guidelines that you should follow regarding stroke. A patient having what's called a STEMI, or an active heart attack. It's STMI. Is what STEMI is, but that's actually an active heart attack that needs a cath lab. Those patients should be, if it's at all possible, taken to a hospital that specializes in that. But the vast majority of calls that an EMS service takes care of, you want to take them where they're wanting to go, where their physician is, where their records are, and when you don't, they get angry. And when they get angry, they complain, and they complain to me. My staff do not take you where you don't want to go, because that's just more work for me. And in all honesty, that's the one thing you don't want to do, is look like you're stealing patients. But are we marketing? Yes, absolutely. Don't try to make it look like we're not doing that. I mean, we have an office now we've opened here in Langhorne. We are in this community, and we have been for a long, long time. Many of the residents in this community were born at either Helene Fould or Mercer. And when I met in Marsville, it was pretty much everybody there had come from that. So we've been in this community. We're not new to it, and we're offering a service that's part of what we do. I think we do it pretty well. We're a very large department. I have over 200 employees. We have very good depth of service. So I have backup equipment. I have backup staff. But I have marketed this as a bubble project. When we come into Pennsylvania to run this service, we will run it under the Pennsylvania rules and regulations and guidelines. We're going to hire the individuals that were incumbents, and they're all going to be able to, they're actually almost all hired. Excuse me. And we will augment it because they did not have enough staff with our staff. Many of them already work over here. So one of my supervisors has been working on this side of the river for years and works both sides. So we're not new and we're not frightened by this. It's not new territory. It's pretty much the same people running the service, but we are going to make sure it's a 24/7 run out of Marsville First Aid or Marsville Ambulance Squad building. Will be ALS 100% of the time. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Just first one is because you slipped into your professional speak. What's ALS?
Sorry, advanced life support versus basic life support. So every ambulance has to be basic life support. When you put a paramedic on it, and a paramedic is allowed to do invasive care, start IVs, give medications, do advanced airway, small surgical procedures, we could relieve tension pneumothorax, we could start IVs in bones. The paramedic can do the advanced care that's done in the emergency room for a critically ill patient. And that's basic versus advanced life support. And that's the term that's, you're right, it's in my lingo, and I apologize.
That's fine.
But that's the difference.
All right. Mr. Brozan did have a meeting, myself, the manager, as well as the solicitors and the fire marshal a couple of weeks ago, where the fire marshal asked a lot of questions, making sure it's obviously his responsibility to make sure the township is covered adequately by emergency staff. He was very, very satisfied. In fact, he mentioned that he was actually born, I think, in Helene Fold.
Yeah.
He, Mr. DiPolito has been a lifelong resident of Falls Township, and as everybody knows. So as I said, he's very satisfied. He was very impressed with the presentation, and he's very comfortable with this. Just want to make sure that people are aware of that. That would be a logical question I think people could ask. So, any questions for Mr. Bozan? I think Ms. Gallagher has an agreement, or she'll talk a little bit about the agreement. But any questions right now regarding the agreement, or for Mr. Bozan? No.
No. None.
Rocco?
We
Okay.
did work together, Ms. Gallagher and I worked together on the agreement. It will be one agreement for both services, and we're going to make the minor changes that Falls had requested. It didn't change content. I spoke with Mr. Mitchell. He was fine with it. So it'll be one agreement that, in essence, we have one little change we're going to do just about the contribution and making sure it matches the way Marsville does about the millage, and that'll be it.
Okay.
And other than that, I could have left them here tonight, but I'll make that change in the morning and have them delivered right away.
Okay. All right. So are we okay with approving this as amended, or should we wait till, I guess we have to approve it tonight?
Yeah, you can approve it as amended, and then we'll just, the signatures can happen tomorrow once the actual documents arrive.
Okay, finalized. All right, good.
But I believe they're starting service Saturday, so they would like it approved.
Yeah, okay.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So, and again, this would be covering the roughly 12% of Falls Township that has always sort of been there. And they do back up, obviously. If there's something where the Levittown Frail Souls Rescue Squad is really occupied with something and they can't cover a call that's traditionally in their area, then this service would obviously, overlap and vice versa.
Right, exactly. We call that mutual aid, just like all fire departments. You back each other up so that somebody isn't waiting too long, and that's absolutely what we'll do.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions? Everybody right? Everybody good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Any public comment, questions?
I'm curious. I'm an ICD patient.
Mhm.
Would you be able to handle something like
Absolutely, sure. Every day. We've had the paramedics in Mercer County since paramedics started.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, we absolutely take care of that, and they're very familiar with that. Yes, sir.
Incredible cardiac.
Oh, okay. All right.
Defibrillator pacer. He could just by himself while he's walking along and keep
Okay.
on going.
All right, so we are looking then to approve the agreement with Capital Health for ambulance services in Falls Township. Okay, is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, have a good night.
Look forward to working with you.
Hopefully not. but-
Yeah, not directly, but, from a distance. Yeah, from a distance. Yeah, she's been talking to Levine about this. She's been talking to Levine about it. Yeah. All right, so we are looking at the next agenda item, which is, I'm wondering where my copy is. I forgot I gave it to Ms. Gallagher earlier. Consider authorizing advertisement for ordinance amending Chapter 184. Back in July, the township adopted an amendment to our ordinances dealing with septic systems, specifically with homes that have septic systems. That is something that DEP has been requiring us or required us to do, to create a plan working with the Township of Falls Authority to inspect regularly septic systems. There really hadn't been anything like that in Falls, which means that you have septic systems operating in Falls Township. Most of Falls Township doesn't have septic systems, but the houses that do, if the homeowners haven't been inspecting them, there hasn't been any kind of enforcement from anybody requiring them to do routine inspections just to make sure that they're contained, make sure there's no leakages, because obviously leakages into the soil would travel to other people's properties and could cause a lot of damage. The township definitely, and we admitted this at that meeting, we definitely sort of dropped the ball in terms of notification for people, and we apologized at that point. We had a lot of residents here who didn't understand what this ordinance was about, and we did approve it, and I know that we've been working with TOFA to sort of make that information flow a little better. This is actually authorizing some changes. The changes are coming from DEP. They've made some changes to what they would like us to do. I'll ask Ms. Gallagher just to kind of run through some of the changes. And I've already set up with Mr. Gray when I announced this, and we're gonna contact people that October 1st, which is a Monday at 7 o'clock in this room, we will have an open meeting for anybody that has questions about this ordinance. They can come, they can find out about it, and it will be considered at a future meeting for approval, but we're just advertising these changes tonight. So, Ms. Gallagher, can you just briefly describe the changes that are being made?
Certainly, Mr. Harvey. In looking at the revisions, they are rather extensive to the ordinance. The major change has to do with the sewage enforcement officer that was present in the prior version of the ordinance. In conversations with DEP and with TOFA, DEP was comfortable with taking a bit of a step back from that and allowing TOFA to create a list of approved pumper haulers that are able to operate within the township that are licensed by the Department of Health to provide those services, and then the property owner can select from that approved list someone to come and service their property. That is the main change in this. There's also some several definitions that are added in, as well as a clarification as to what those pumper and haulers are required to do at the 3-year interval every time that they go to clean out the tanks. It also sets forth some of the requirements for the inspections, as well as the notices that are provided to property owners in the event that there is not compliance and either the authority or the health department needs to go onto the property without necessarily the homeowner's consent.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions? No. I know that was certainly a concern of TOFA, was about hiring somebody to do this work. It was a concern of residents, who's going to be doing these inspections. So this would allow them, as Ms. Gallagher said, to sort of hire somebody on their own. It could be a company that has been doing their inspections. And so they can just have them do the inspection if they're licensed. Hopefully, they should be licensed by the Department of Health. If they are, then they can certainly do the inspection and then just submit the report to TOFA, and the inspection's done.
Correct.
So TOFA is really just sort of handling the paperwork instead of having to hire staff to do this kind of thing. So that's obviously a big change we think people will be happy with. And obviously it means they can also shop around for a cheaper price rather than just sort of taking the one price that they'd have no choice to take. So, but as I said, we're just advertising this evening. It'll be published rather, for people to take a look at. And we are going to have a meeting on October 1st for anybody that's interested in having more discussion. Ms. Gallagher will be there. I'll be there. Obviously, other board members will look for representatives from TOFA as well to attend, so that everybody gets a chance to find out. And we can do a better job of communicating this. And we do have the lists when people were here before in July from the sign-up sheet. So we're going to go back to those people, touch base with them, and make sure they're aware of this, so that invite them and anybody else they feel should be here. Okay. Any comments or questions from board members?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Again, just advertising this. Is there a motion to authorize advertisement for ordinance amending Chapter 184?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Item 6 is consider notice of intent to award the bid for the 2018 Road Improvement Program landscaping. Mr. Gray?
Township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan dated September 14th regarding the 2018 road improvement program for the landscape portion. Bids were received by the township and publicly opened on September 14th. 2 bids were received. First was from Bustleton Services, Inc. Base bid amount was $59,866. Alternate bid amount was $92,860. Second bid, General Asphalt, $63,300 for base, and alternate $95,700. Based on the bid evaluation, Bustleton Services is the lowest responsive bidder for the base bid. It is recommended that the Board of Supervisors authorize the Township Engineer's Office to issue a notice of intent to award to Bustleton Services, Inc. for the total bid amount of $59,866 for the base bid, with an option for the residents to contribute 68 cents per square foot to purchase sod, being alternate 1, in lieu of standard grass seed, which is the base bid.
Okay. Comments or questions from Mr. Sullivan?
Is this our first time offering sod?
No.
No.
Did people take advantage of it?
So far, 2 people in the last couple of years have taken
You
it.
can tell who, because they have grass when you drive down the road over there.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, I'll have it though.
Any comments or questions?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I do. Are you okay with the work they did on the last, I mean, it's not complete, obviously, right, on the last road program they did?
Yes, we're basically okay with it. Anything
Is it
that's
gonna be-
outstanding, anything that's outstanding, we'll have them address.
But it's still,
Probably-
it's
probably
still
this year,
outstanding. It's
yeah.
not finished yet.
That's
They're not
correct.
done.
Okay, they're not done, yes.
I'm asking, it's a question. It does look pretty bad when you see some of those lawns.
It seemed like a directive, and I believe that we will take care of that.
Okay, good enough, thank you.
And there's not much you can really do with landscaping until, well, roughly this time of year.
Well, this time of year is fine for whatever's, not, it's substandard from the previous road program. I don't think any of the 2018 road program landscaping will be done this year. More likely next year in the spring.
How long is the road program going to take, do you think?
150 days. That's calendar days, but obviously, when the winter intervenes, there'll be a stoppage, probably late
Well, it's
December.
not going to snow this year, though.
Well, if it doesn't snow, we'll be fine.
Okay.
But normally, there's a stoppage late December into mid-March.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Everybody's good? Any public comment? All right, is there a motion then to accept the bid from Bustleton Services pending successful outcome of the required responsible contract determination in the amount of $59,866 for the base, $92,860 for the alternate?
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, item 7 is consider bids for the sale of township surplus vehicles. Mr. Gray.
At the July Board of Supervisors meeting, the board approved a resolution for the disposal of surplus township vehicles. The surplus vehicles were placed on municipal bid. The township held an inspection, and the deadline for submitting bids was this past Thursday, September 13th at 4:30 p.m. The results were placed online through municipal bid. 20 items were sold, including 18 vehicles and 2 lawnmowers. Upon approval from the board, the Finance Department will arrange a time for pickup with the successful bidder. The board is asked to consider the sale of these surplus vehicles.
Okay. Comments or questions from board members?
No.
Okay. Any public comment? No? Okay, is there a motion then to approve or accept the bids, rather, for all of the vehicles and equipment listed on the September 14th, 2018 memo from Mr. Gray in the amount of $21,360?
Yes, so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 8 is consider proposals from Bucks County Consortium regarding purchase of rock salt for 2018-2019, which we hopefully won't need. Mr. Gray.
The Bucks County Consortium salt bid was opened by Doylestown Borough, and the results were forwarded to Falls Township. 4 bids were received. Of the 4, Morton Salt was the lowest at $47.92 a ton delivered, and also $47 a ton undelivered. As comparison, the prior year's rate for Morton Salt was $48.82. The township did spend $68,000 in the last year for salt purchases, which equals 1,400 tons. The board is asked to consider this quote through the consortium for Morton Salt.
Questions, comments?
No.
Any public comment? Okay. Is there a motion then to accept the consortium bid for Morton Salt for rock salt for 2017-2018?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, items 9, 10, and 11 all sort of go together here. The MMOs, or minimum municipal obligations. By state law, the township has to publicly state how much money it owes for municipal pensions. The township has 3 pension plans, 3 groups of employees on pension plans, so we have to state publicly how much we're going to pay into those pension funds in the coming year. Mr. Gray, you want to go through these? And I guess we can
Certainly.
do them one at a time.
The first pension fund we have is the police pension. Total MMO for this particular one that will be included in the 2019 budget is $2,828,993. Can we just do all 3 at the same
Yeah,
time?
please. That would be Resolution 1817.
Yes. The second one would be the non-uniform plan, and that would be for $124,976. And finally, and that would be Resolution 18. And then the final one would be for the Public Works, the PMRS plan, and that would be $77,786.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for board members? No?
No.
All right. So we have resolutions 17, 18, and 19, which are establishing MMOs for the 3 pension funds, police, non-uniform police, and the public works. I think we could probably approve these all at once, right? You don't have to do separate, unless there's some kind of issue, anybody have an issue, so doing them all at once. All right, is there a motion then to approve resolutions 1817, 1818, and 1819?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so item 12, consider authorization for advertisement for the audit of 2018 financial records. And we're also talked earlier today with Mr. Gray and Ms. Gallagher about also doing this sort of combined with item 13. They are connected. We're advertising for an audit, and we're also then requesting proposals for professional auditing firms for the 2018 audit. Mr. Gray.
Yes, the first item regarding authorization to advertise for the audit of the 2018 financial records. Basically, this would be a notice in the Courier Times identifying the fact that the township will hire an appointed auditor to replace the elected auditors to complete the 2018 financial audit for this calendar year. And then the second one is a consideration by the board to seek requests for proposals for various, from various CPA firms to do the audit for the year 2018 for the financial records. We do have 3 firms. We will be sending RFPs out, and the board is asked to consider both the authorization for the notice and also for getting RFPs for the audit.
Okay. The township does have 3 elected auditors, which is standard in Pennsylvania and townships, and most of Pennsylvania is made up of townships. But with a township this size, with a budget this size, with operations this intricate, and the money being spent, it's very, very, very common for townships like ours and other communities like ours. While the auditors, elected auditors, do have a small role to play beginning of each year in terms of setting bonds and things like that, to hire an outside firm to do the actual auditing, because this is a major operation. How long for the firms? How long does it usually take the auditors from the time they start this process?
They start preliminary field work in approximately late November, early December, and they will go through June when the financial statements are compiled and printed out.
Yeah, so this is really like a 6 or 7 month process to do this. And that's with professional auditors going through our books, everything we do, receipts and the income and outlays, everything else. So, okay, so we're looking at 2 things here. We'll just sort of do one motion. Is there a motion to consider authorization for advertisement for audit of the 2018 financial records and authorizing request for proposals for auditing firms?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Item 14. Consider authorizing solicitor to contact potential firms to assist the township with police hiring. The township has 3 lieutenants in our police department, 2 of whom will be retiring at some point in the next couple of years. And so the township has some interest in, it's been a while since we've hired lieutenants, and to sort of creating a policy, looking for some input in terms of how to create a plan when it comes to hiring lieutenants and getting some ideas about that. In addition, the township has used the Bucks County Consortium for hiring police officers for about 15 years. And there has been some interest on the part of the board into looking into whether or not that's the best way, the most efficient way, the way that guarantees us the best access to the broadest possible, cast of potential candidates. And so we're looking into working with a firm that does this professionally, that gives advice and does this kind of work regarding police hiring practices, and just to make sure that we're, we think we've made a lot of good hires over the past few years, but we also want to make sure that we're getting ready for the future when we're going to have to hire a couple lieutenants, and also getting ready and making sure that our policies are what they should be, and they're at their best. Comments or questions regarding this?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion then to authorize the solicitor to contact potential firms to assist the township with police hiring?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 15 is the minutes. Minutes are from August 21st. Are there any comments or questions, corrections?
I wasn't at the meeting, but I did watch the video, and excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Okay, there are no motions, or if there's no corrections, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Engineers report, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Has been, for the last few months, the only thing going on right now is the 2018 road program. General Asphalt is mobilized to the site. They began tree removal on September 6th, and I think they completed it today if they got it all in before the storm hit. So next week they should be having deliveries of all the storm sewer structures, and they'll begin installation of storm sewer next week. Again, the project is expected to take 150 calendar days by contract, but it'll take a little bit longer than that because, unless, of course, we don't get any snow or ice, there'll be some time during the winter where they're not working. And that's really all I have for highlights.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan?
None.
No.
Nope.
I have none.
Okay. Comments or questions from the public? No? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to accept the engineer's report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bill list for tonight, $1,760,289.44. Of that 1.7 million, about 83,000 is state funds or escrow funds, which is put up by developers. Again, it's about 83,000 of that. There's about $118,000 that went into the construction of the new playground down at Quaker Penn Park. Not just the equipment itself, but also the all-weather surface. And there's also, 118 there. And 1.2 million of the 1.7 is salary, health insurance, and life and disability insurance. So we're looking at about, just those couple things, about 1.4 out of the 1.7 million, just boils down to a couple items. Comments or questions, Mr. Gray, regarding bills?
None.
No.
No. Any public comment, questions? See none. Okay, is there a motion then to pay the bill September 18th, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, executive session we had before. Police Department, see the chief in the back? Evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's nice to be back again. what we have this evening is, I would like to once again reiterate our invitation for a week from tomorrow, the 26th, for a Citizens Police Academy once again. If there's anybody sitting on the fence and not sure where they want to come, it's a great opportunity to find out how police work works, into the workings of our police department, and just gives you an all-around better view of how police work is.
Chief,
also
and just to touch on it real quick, because I think there was a little bit of I know somebody asked me a question about being a resident or non-resident.
Mr. Boreski, anybody is welcome.
Right, okay.
Gentlemen, tonight I want to center in on some very good arrests that we've accomplished since the end of August right on through now. We had a burglary in progress in Fairless Hills. Officer McCreary was dispatched there. It was a burglary where the individual walked right into an occupied house and locked himself in a bedroom, began taking some stuff and jumped out the window. Our officers responded. We were able to apprehend this individual, and it was a very good arrest. It just showed you the timeliness of our response time. It was a very good arrest on the part of our officers there. Next was a drug delivery that resulted in death. There was a overdose that took place in March, and subsequently Detective O'Connell, through good police work, arrested two individuals, Michael Santangelo and Ronald Filderman. Both have been subsequently charged. Mr. Filderman is still at large, and he's been charged with a felony. So anybody that sees this and wants to give us some information about where he is, please call us. The next one is our fatal hit and run that everybody's aware of that took place in front of the ice cream parlor as a result of very, very, very good police work on the part of Officer Medley, our Detective Bureau, and tips by the public. We were able to arrest this individual within a week, obtain a confession. It was very good police work. They did a lot of shoe work. It's old-fashioned police work where they were in Philadelphia, where they were in New Jersey. They were all over the place following up tips. As far as Warminster, hitting all the body shops, very good police work on the part of that. Finally, a drug possession. 2 weekends ago, we received some information about a car carrier that may be carrying numerous guns and large quantities of money. Through good police work, we were able to find the car carrier, find the car with the money, no guns, but we found a significant amount of drugs and over $10,000 in cash. We weren't able to find who owned it. The car carrier was on its way to Texas, and right now we're working with ATF and DEA in order to find out where this with the car. Once again, the reason I'm bringing up these cases, they've occurred since we saw last, and I wanted you to know that these guys are out there doing very good police work. That's all I have for you this evening.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I know the hit and run. I know there was a lot of people obviously very upset when it happened, and social media, and asking for all kinds of help and tips, and I know people were were really kind of ecstatic when things happened as fast as they did, and I thank the officers definitely for the work, and I know people were very appreciative knowing that that individual who was under the influence, I believe himself at the time of the accident, was apprehended. I know people were very appreciative of that, so definitely thank you to the officers. Any comments or questions for the chief?
No, thank you for that update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, manager comment, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 items tonight. Recently, the township received an application for the annual fall bare root tree offer. The bare root trees are available in November for planting shortly thereafter. The township has done similar bare root tree programs in prior years, planting them throughout the township. Over 525 trees have been purchased through the Tree Vitalized program by falls. An application is required for the program. The Shade Tree Committee is requesting 15 trees at a cost of $50 each for a total cost of $750. The deadline for the application was last Friday, September 14th. The board is asked to consider ratifying the purchase of 15 trees as part of the Tree Vitalized program for $750.
Okay. right, comments or questions?
No.
No.
Do we know, I know 525 trees is tremendous, it really is. I mean, certainly there was, some good points raised earlier about, environmental awareness and protection, and the fact that we've planted, well over 500 trees is something I think we should be proud of here in our township. Do we know how long we've been doing it? I was trying to think of when we started.
I believe it's been 2008 or 2009.
All right, okay. So about 10 years.
Yes.
Okay. All right, yeah, I was curious. I couldn't remember, and I couldn't find anything in my file. So no comments, no questions. Public comment? See none. Okay, is there a motion then to ratify the purchase of 15 bare root trees at the cost of $750?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Finally, I just want to announce a new business that opened operations in Falls Township during the month of August. Malay Thai Kitchen LLC, located at 8800 New Falls Road in Levittown. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And that's in the Thornridge Shopping Center.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yeah, I know there's always been sort of different restaurants in that one little spot. They seem to, not always, hopefully this one does well, So Malay Thai Kitchen. I don't know a whole lot about Thai food, but it's, I think Mr. Gregg and I are going to go there one time for dinner.
We'll try it out.
Yeah.
I'll go.
So, all right. Board comment. Mr. Rocco, start on this.
No, I'm good, thank you. Good night.
All right. Dents?
No comment.
Mr. Raski?
Nothing.
Mr. Galloway?
No comment.
The trend continues for you,
Talkative
Mr.
bunch.
Harvey.
Yeah, talkative bunch. The only thing, well, first off, sort of happy Rosh Hashanah, blessed Yom Kippur to the Jewish residents here in Falls. Yom Kippur started this evening, right around the time we were starting our meeting, I guess, at sundown. And now that we're only doing one meeting a month, I try to sometimes think, I know I've missed some holidays and things like that just because I keep thinking we're going to meet before something happens and then we miss it. So I think we're okay in terms of the next one. I don't think there's anything else happening between now and then. But the one thing we did, I did want to bring up and ask board support for, with the past few years, there have been issues throughout, especially Levittown, part of Falls Township, and other communities that Levittown is encompassing regarding Lower Bucks Joint Municipal Authority and some of the work that they have been doing in terms of their easements, requiring fences to be moved, sheds to be moved, and we've certainly had some issues here with that in Falls. And in talking to some of the other elected officials in the area, specifically Middletown, Falls has never had any representation on Lower Bucks Joint Municipal Authority. The only representatives are from Bristol Township and Tullytown. I actually went to a Lower Bucks Joint Municipal Authority meeting, and there was some discussion about what exactly, why that is, because Lower Bucks Joint operates in Falls, operates in Middletown, operates in Bristol Township and Tullytown, and yet there are no representatives from Falls or Middletown. And what I was told, and it's no reason to doubt what they're saying, is that when Lower Bucks Joint was formed back around the time William Levitt was building 17,000 houses, that membership on that board was offered to all the communities, but only Tullytown and Bristol Township accepted. And so, I would like to authorize the manager and the township solicitor to at least have some discussions with Lower Bucks Joint Municipal Authority's professionals and solicitor, just to find out what exactly would be involved in Falls Township gaining some kind of representation on that board. Because we certainly get complaints from people who live in Falls and are serviced by Lower Bucks Joint, and we really don't have any membership. We don't have any, obviously we can pick up the phone and call them, but we don't have any representation on that board. And so, I'm just curious to see what it exactly would be encompassed in us gaining some representation.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I guess, is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that was all I had. So we'll see everybody in sort of mid-October. Hopefully, this break in the weather, things will get to normal. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.